Hi guys, hope you're all doing very well. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Julia Gidoi, and with me today is a lady who is doing a phenomenal job out there. Of course, if she's doing a phenomenal job, that means she's also phenomenal. Help me welcome Judy Kihumba, the founder of a non-governmental organization that is known as TLEP, which stands for Talking Hands, Listening Eyes, Postpartum Depression. She's here to tell us a little bit more or a lot more of what she does and what TLEP is all about. Help me welcome Judy Kihumba. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Julie.
How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I am super excited as well to be in this conversation and to hold this conversation with you. And of course, with our audience out there. I'm looking forward to this talk.
Oh, awesome. So now, Judy, thank you so much for being here. And I'm truly humbled that you took your time to have this conversation with me. I don't take it for granted.
Thank you.
So tell me, Judy, who is Judy Kihumba?
My name is Judy Kihumba. I am a mother of three. I would say three, but two biological children and one who is adopted, who will be turning 1 year this Saturday on 7th of November. It's not yet 1 year. Yeah, I'm also a founder of Talking Hands, Listening Eyes on Postpartum Depression, TLEP. I am also a sign language interpreter. I'm and an advocate of maternal mental health for the deaf moms. I think in a nutshell, that
is Judy. All right. Judy, tell me something. Let us start from your education background. I know that you went to a deaf high school.
Yes.
What came about that you went to a deaf high school?
For my high school, I went to Reverend Mohoro School for the Deaf for, I think 4 years, but of course I schooled longer than 4 years. But not that I was there, not that I knew about the school before then, but I found myself in a situation where my parents could not take me to the school I was admitted to. And I went to Reverend Mohoro. I schooled for 1 term, then I had to drop school for some time for 2 years and went back after 2 years to the same school. And I'm so proud that this made me and molded me to be who I am today, to be the resilient woman I am. And of course, it also introduced me to the deaf world in a better way. In a way, maybe before I would have not taken it the way I have today. So yeah, that's why I went to Reverend Mohoro School for the Deaf, a school I'm very, very proud of to date.
Awesome. And I have to ask, was it so hard for you to adapt in the school at the beginning? And what are some of the challenges that you may have gone through in Reverend Mohoro School for the Deaf?
It was very hard. Number one, I was supposed to join a school, a hearing school, a very good school. Of course, Chinga Girls was a school, a dream school for me. And then here things have turned that I have to join a school that I didn't choose. That's one. In fact, I say the first day I went to school, I didn't have school uniform. The skirt for that school was navy blue, and I went to school in a black skirt. You can imagine. Not that not even a new skirt. I got that from a neighbor who had cleared high school, and they were using black skirts. So you can imagine it's an old skirt. I wasn't prepared for school, that is. And I have joined a school here that has deaf people. Number one, I felt rejected. I felt like I was in the wrong place. And so even for me, I had built a wall for the first few months. I built a wall between me and the deaf people. I buried myself into books more, forgetting there's many other things that I was supposed to focus around me, especially the deaf people around me. They were very friendly, but at that point, I didn't want anything to do with them because I promised myself and told myself, I'm here purely to read, to study, to be the person, to prove a point that I can be the person I wanted to be, even in this school that I didn't want to. Unfortunately, I schooled for only one term at that time. The first time I schooled for one term, then after 2 years now, I went back and now completed my high school.
Allow me to ask, because there's probably someone out there who is thinking, Maze, this is now the end of life. Unajua, probably their parents have not been able to take them to high school or campus or wherever. And they're beating themselves up that this is the end of it. Let me ask you, what in that period where you had to fast pause school, what lesson, hata kama I know you are young, maybe lessons haziwezi kuwa zenye now you're getting the lessons right now. What lesson did you get from that period?
I would say, which to date I see, despite that it's long ago, it's still being determined and knowing what you want. Like I have a goal, and I am, no matter how long the journey may be for me to get to my goal, I am focused on what I want to get. I really look forward to this is this is my final product that I want to get. Even if the journey has many stops, I know where I want to get.
Awesome. Wow. Now tell me, Judy, is you going to Reverend Mohoro where your inspiration to found THLEP came from?
I would say yes and no. Let me start with the no. With the no. No, because this is an experience that for me to start THLEP was through an experience that I went through that wasn't there when I was in high school, and I never got it then. In fact, it came many years after I cleared high school. But yes, because I got to interact with the deaf people, I made friends with deaf people. 98% of my friends in my inner circle are deaf people. So through that, I learned their culture. I learned so much that most of the time we ignore as hearing people, or we ignorant, or sometimes we have no clue of how we should handle the deaf people. That's how I would say yes and no. THLEP was founded out of an experience. I went through postpartum depression, and through the experience I went through and what I got, the lessons I learned from that very hard, very difficult, an experience you'd never want to wish even your worst enemy to go through. When I went through this, I realized there's so much that the deaf people don't know that they need to know. Yes, it was not founded on my experience in Mohoro in high school. Despite that, it was my way of connecting to the deaf world.
Now, I think when it comes to postpartum depression, let me divert a little bit. I think so many women out there go through postpartum depression. Some without knowing, others don't even know, they don't even know what exactly they are going through. And I think I heard you say once that you cannot diagnose yourself with postpartum depression. You have to go to hospital, right? How about that woman who is going through postpartum depression and they have no idea that it's actually postpartum depression that they're going through? What do you think ends up from that? I don't know if you're getting my question.
What I'm getting from you, what I'm picking is that a woman going through postpartum depression, but she has no clue what she's going through.
Yes.
sometimes life has made us see like it's okay to go through, they tell us, the first mother to give birth, the first mother to go to see, to feel like you're not okay. But there's an experience where you see, I am not the first mother. There's so many, including our mothers, went through this. But there's only a limit that I can handle these emotions for how do I say, for a short time, for a time. But there are things that I can't handle, things that are beyond me, emotional stress that are beyond me, that I need to look for help through maybe going to the hospital, because that's where most of the times they diagnose whether you have postpartum depression or it's anxiety or whatever you may be going through. Is it clinical depression or whatever kind of mental issue that you're going through? So first, is to accept this is how I am feeling. I am not okay, and I feel I can't handle this alone. I need somebody else to help me. Maybe help me know whether I am okay. I tell mothers, despite how little you think it is, or how a matter is petty according to you, look for help. Because in that pettiness, you may find it's a mountain building from that petty thing. And a mountain that could be handled when it was a bit low, when the issue was a bit manageable, instead of by the time you are going to the hospital, you are like, wow, I wish I had come to the hospital earlier. Yeah, so yes, if you feel, you may not know that it's postpartum depression. You may not know what exactly is going through you. But when you take your baby to the clinic, maybe you can have a time, you can tell the nurse or the doctor in charge, you can ask them, is it okay to feel the way I'm feeling, and explain how you're feeling. Maybe through that, to you it may not be, you may be feeling, is it me who is petty? But even in that pettiness, ask, learn to ask. Put yourself that when my baby sleeps, I should be sleeping, but at this moment, I don't know, I am not able to, that little thing, I'm not even able to feed. Ask, keep asking. Anytime you take the baby to the clinic, ask about the baby and ask about yourself. That's the way we'll be able to screen the many things that mothers go through. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Judy, for that. Now, I know that in FLEP, you mainly hold the hands of deaf mothers, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Could you kindly give me a picture of a deaf mom out there who has just realized that she's expectant and now she wants to start her clinic, and until now when she's ready to give birth? Just give me a picture of that.
Okay. Thank you very much. The motherhood journey is just like any other journey of any other able-bodied mom. The only difference is the communication part. Because the same way the egg gets fertilized and you get a fetus in your womb, and the baby grows, the pregnancy grows to a point it's visible, we can see. That's the same thing for a deaf mom. But the difference is how they get information, how they get the medical help that they need, in terms of, I have gone to the hospital. Of course, most pregnancies don't appear like a pregnancy, especially the first few months. Unless you're very keen to know you're pregnant, some may not know they're pregnant. So you go to the hospital with some feelings of malaria or some feelings of some diseases. You're there wondering, I feel very sick. And if you get to a hospital where some doctors are a bit careless, they will treat this person with the words of mouth without doing some tests. And what happens? You're given those malaria drugs, you're given the pneumonia drugs, or you're given those typhoid drugs. What happens? You lose the baby. And most of the deaf mothers lose their pregnancies at the early stages of pregnancy because of that. Number two, this mother has gone beyond that first stage of where I know I am pregnant. Now I've gone to the hospital because every month I need to be going for clinics. After every 4 weeks, I need to see a doctor who works with me through my pregnancy journey. Now, that's where the whole difference is with a hearing mom or an able-bodied mom, or I would say a hearing mom because you have physically challenged. They also have their disabilities, but they can hear. We have visually impaired. They are blind, yes, but they will walk through the motherhood journey easier than a deaf mom because all this is about access to information. And this deaf mom, unless a doctor is very, very intentional, very patient, and decide I need to have an interpreter to walk this motherhood journey with this deaf mom. So most of the times they don't get the right information. They get very basic information. They get sometimes zero information, I would say, because when they go to the hospital and the doctor checks and sees the pregnancy is okay, and they look at them physically, they see they're okay. So they're told, take these drugs for folic acid. They don't explain beyond what are these for. What is the danger of doing this and not doing this? You know, what should I do in case I feel like those many questions that we as hearing mom have, the deaf people don't get the pleasure of getting the explanation. So out of that, you find that the motherhood journey is a bit difficult. Again, if this mom gets a person she can be working with, the way we have done, SLEP have been working we've been working with Pumwani Hospital and other hospitals where we work with deaf moms until they give birth. You find there's no experience in sign language midwife, where this deaf mom walks into labor with a person who is experienced. You can imagine if, as a hearing mom, you sometimes don't want to hear anybody talking to you at that painful moment. You can imagine. As much as even if you close your eyes, you can hear. You get my point? He is a deaf mom who needs to be explained to, or sometimes you even don't prepare them of what to expect. Reason, some of us, me, I say I am not lucky because I never went through labor. I have no clue of what labor pain is. But I'm imagining of another mother who has gone through labor. There are some who tells me, I labored for 9 hours, others 2 days.
Yeah.
And in this labor, you labor knowing what to expect. If this is how I feel, if this is the sign I'm feeling, it means the baby is almost here. It means I have dilated this much. When you go to that labor time, when they keep on putting fingers down there to check how many centimeters you've dilated, imagine a deaf mom. You're not telling them it's 5 centimeters, 4, 10, now you're ready to give birth. No one is explaining to them. You just put fingers, they just, it's traumatizing for a deaf mom, I would say. Number 3 is that how many midwives know how to handle deaf people? Because as you give birth a normal delivery, there is that point you're told you push the baby. Who tells a deaf mom how to push? So you can imagine. In fact, it's funny. I've been asking some few friends of mine. Now I got interest of asking them, how did you manage in that labor ward, in the delivery room? And the stories you hear, one told me the nurse, the midwife had a very cold water, would sprinkle the water on her, and she's kind of shocked, frightened, and she pushes the baby. Another instantly. The nurse would slap her hand. As you slapped, you are frightened again. You push the baby. But imagine that is not the way to help them. That's not the way to walk that journey with them. So for me, I feel like we are not, the Kenyan facility in terms of maternal health for the deaf is not really taken care of as it should, in terms of information, in terms of being prepared to walk with them the journey, in terms of helping them know what to expect in that journey.
That was quite deep, because I am thinking to myself, if Julia, sometimes when I go to hospital for my clinics, sometimes I ask myself, "Hey, should I ask the doctor this? Should I have asked this? Shouldn't he or she have told me? How about now that woman who, is having that communication barrier between her, and this is something that is happening in her body, between her and the doctor. I think it must be quite hard for them, right? Especially when they go to a facility that doesn't have an interpreter or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very hard. Very
And
hard in terms of, I say very hard in terms of even, I love Pumwani Hospital with all due respect, but there are times I would go there, I would work there with the deaf moms. She's not a nurse per se, but she works at the registry. She has a lot of information on motherhood, a lot. I would say the times I feel like she's a nurse, and she will do random talks to those moms. Random talks like the real talks on the ground, like wewe mama ukikubali hapo kupewa mtoto ushike wa mwenyewe ati ameenda kwa choo, utaenda nyumbani na watoto wawili ama uambie mtu akushikia uende nyumbani bila mtoto kwa sababu atakuwa amejua. You get very real information. But she will stand and do random talks. But does she think they're deaf people in that sitting? A deaf person may do the same. You may tell a mom, you may tell them to hold a baby for you or the other way around. And then she'll tell them, najua sasa leo ni siku ya clinic, mumebeba supu ya ngamia, ya ng'ombe, chakula, thermos bag imejaa. Imagine you don't need all that. You just need to drink for two and eat for one. Very important information in terms of nutrition. Sometimes you tell them, make sure your food has a balanced diet. Sometimes amenyamaza hivi anawaambia, watoto waongeleshwe, sikunyamazia watoto. Don't keep quiet on the kids when they cry. Talk to them. Na usimuite kababa kama mi, just talk to them. It's very important information. But is this information helping a deaf mom? No. Yeah, so I'm limited.
Oh my, that is unfortunate. Now, Judy, let me ask you, in your journey as you're working with the deaf moms, what are some of the challenges that you, as Judy, face?
There are many. There are many because sometimes expectations are too high. Expectations both ways. Expectations in terms of I have passed some information, thinking they have understood it, only to realize what they got was different from what I said. Of course, it comes up because sometimes you give limited information thinking this person has gone through this journey before, and maybe especially to mothers who are not first-time mothers. Then you realize even the first time it was a trial and error because nobody told them. So what you think they know, they don't know. And one day this helped me very much. My daughter helped me very much, who is, she's a very inquisitive girl, and she'll ask you questions. Sometimes you're like, you doubt yourself, One day I was taking her to school and she asked me, why we saw the water tanker, the blue water tanker, the one that transports water. And she asked me, Mommy, why is our car smaller than that truck? And I told her, because that one transports water and ours is to take Lynn to school. And then she was like, who is driving? I told her, a driver, just like the way Mommy is driving you. Then she asked me, has that driver taken shower? I'm like, yeah, he has. So her understanding was he takes shower with the same water that he's going to transport for people to cook with, to wash with, to do everything with. So I had to sit her down and show how the water is connected to the truck, and how this same driver puts some water in a basin elsewhere and showers, and the remaining water throws away. That's how sometimes we communicate to the hospital. We give them half information, we leave them to fill in the gap, yet we've not communicated. So that one is my big challenge. My other challenge is expectations both ways, that I expect so much from them, sometimes knowing they know and yet they don't know. Or then they expect Judy comes to see me, to visit me, to check on my baby and myself, to know how I am. I don't have a job, I don't have maybe I'm a single mother. So Judy is supposed to come with a kiondo, you know, with a paper bag full of food, like there's unga, Judy knows my needs even before I say them, and these are needs of mothers. So sometimes I am not able to do that, so it becomes a big challenge. Sometimes there are like 4 moms whom in this time where we are not funded, or we've not gotten there to a funding point where I can't send like 5 interpreters, go with this mom to this hospital, this hospital, this hospital. So you find I need to have more people to work with, and sometimes I'm not able to. So you may find me going to 3 hospitals in a day, which shouldn't be the case. So those are some of the challenges that we go through.
Oh my, wow! More grace to you, my dear. You're doing what most of us cannot do. Just from speaking, just from getting this from you, I can already feel that passion in you. And all I can say is more grace to you. Na Mungu akujazililie hiyo nguvu, you know. May he receive strength every morning, yeah?
Amen.
All right, Judy. Now, something else, you're also a mental health advocate, maternal mental health advocate, right?
Yes, I am.
Could you kindly tell me what exactly do you do in terms of advocating for mental health in mothers?
I would say I went through postpartum depression in 2019. I didn't know what it was until I went through it, until I went to the hospital and the doctor told me, this is what you're going through, and it's called PPD. And I went into research to find out what it is and what happens, and what exactly it is about, and whom does it get? Because to me, I thought it was Zungus who go through such things. Is it normal mothers like me? Is it just any person, any mom can go through it? And when I went through it, I realized there's so much that I had no clue about in terms of mental health in terms of depression. And out of that, I thought about so many other moms out there, deaf moms who may be going through this. And I in this process, as I was walking through it, of course, I told you earlier, as we started, I told you 98% of my inner circle is from deaf people. So as I was explaining to them, this is what the doctor said, this is how I'm feeling, this is what is expected. That's why I'm taking these sleeping pills, because I was put on drugs that sometimes they could come to the house and I will not talk to anyone because I'm too sleepy. So in all this, I realized there's so much information that we don't know matters of mental health. And I became an ambassador, I would say an advocate, to tell mothers, it's okay not to be okay. This thing is real. PPD, postpartum depression is real. It is there. If you go through it, if you find yourself with these symptoms, go to the hospital, tell the doctor. Don't shy away saying this is a normal thing. It's a normal thing for any mama to sit down and just cry for no reason. Cry for hours, not eat.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Not shower for days. No, it's okay. It's not okay, yes, but it's okay not to be okay. That's why it's okay to see a person who can help you. So that's how I started advocacy. Yeah. And on 7th of November 2020, I met, something changed in my life, in my circle of friends. I got a phone call from a certain hospital here in Nairobi that they had a deaf mom who was in labor pains and didn't have anything. So I went. I went to the hospital, and it's true. She never wanted this pregnancy. So somebody, again, misinformation, where we go back to where we started of misinformation. Somebody had told her that if you want to abort, you can take conch tea leaves every day. That was her meal. She was not eating. She was so tiny. She was not eating. She was surviving on tea leaves so that the baby could come out, which never happened. She has a very and out of that, she's a total orphan. So that was her worry of how she'd take care of her baby. Now, again, out of that, she was feeling like she was alone. She was feeling rejected. Of course, the way how she got the pregnancy is also another story. So she was feeling she didn't want this baby. And so I walked the journey with her from day one, that I would now after taking her home, I would leave my job place at 5 in the evening, would go to her place all the way, take care of her, do all the things that should be done for mothers, and then go back home later after this. And it was a lot of work for me, but I was dedicated. But in the process, we realized that the baby was sick. So there are times the baby would vomit and the mother wouldn't know because she's asleep. There are times the baby would be crying and the neighbors want to alert her that the baby is crying. So what would they do? They throw stones on top of her rooftop to wake the mother up. Little did they know they were traumatizing the baby. So out of all that, we took her with my husband. We agreed, let's take her in our house because it's easier, especially this happy time. So we took her in, and I've been living with her. I worked through with her through the PPD journey because she went through postpartum depression. And out of that, I realized even the gaps that I never saw before that are there. So that's I would say that was also a motivation for me to be an advocate of maternal mental health.
Okay.
And why deaf people, because that's my world. If you ask why deaf people, it's because that's the world I have worked for a longer time in my life, and it's a world where it's limited because of communication and language barriers.
Okay. There's something that I've heard you say in the past, and I think I would like you to tell us a little bit about that. Now, there has been a case where you were saying that in case a deaf mom, or in case people are going to grief with the deaf mom, and according to them, most of the times wakienda huko, it's like they're going for the other people, yani the family members, and the deaf mom is left there with no one to really console her. Guzilia kidogo about that.
I'd say most of the times, I said when I was, before I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, I went through a loss. I lost a pregnancy. And through that, I learned how people mourn. People will come to mourn in the house. They the way you want to, and of course, I had gone through some loss around that time. So people very close to my heart. I lost so close people to my heart that mourning was kind of somehow my way. And most of the times you find when people come to the house, they will focus on the people they can communicate with. For example, I have a baby. If they're coming because of me, nobody really focuses on the baby who also needs to. She saw her mother carrying and she knew a brother or a sister was on the way.
To complete this conversation, there's one more question that I would like to ask you. This is a question that I saw a certain mother asking in a certain Facebook group. Now, according to Judy Kihumba, do you think there is a certain way, a specific way in which one should mother their child?
Allah. I would say there's no script of motherhood. There's nowhere. You'll find a book written. This is the way to bring up your child. Every child is unique in their own way. Every family is unique in ways they bring up their children. In this era, they will find some parents who have no TV in their house, who have no radio in their house, who have no computers in their house. You get? Because that's the way they have decided to bring up their children. You find in my house, there's so many movies, songs, kids, Christian songs, which every day my kids listen to. Because that's how I have decided to bring them up. You find another mother that every Wednesday we have a fellowship with my kids, which we have somebody preaching among them and we talk and, because that's the way I have decided to do. I have a daughter who is my 5-year-old. She's now 6. I keep saying she's 5. She's 6. She loves singing. The times you'll send her to go bring you a cup and she'll tell you, this is the way to go, like a choir. That's her, because that's how she does it. So, you see, this is a talent in my child. I want to nurture it. How do I do it? Either I take her to a music school, do I enroll her and I get a teacher who can train her better, and do I buy her equipment? This is how I want it to be. But there's no script anywhere written. The only difference that needs to be, I would say, to be the same, is that we bring up upright, morally upright children. Children that, whatever you're doing, whatever little or small you're doing for your child, you're doing it for the best. You're doing it for your child, knowing that this baby will become a leader tomorrow. Be the nation that, the way we say the Kenya we want. The Kenya we want, we can only see it through our children. The nation we want, we can only see it through our children. How we bring them up. We bring them up respecting people. We bring them up being sensitive to others. We bring them up knowing that there are people with disabilities in our communities and how we need to take care of. We have needy people who needs to be taken care of. Taking care of our children the way we see is best. The way how we do it doesn't matter. It's like we are going to town, all of us. One uses a boda, the other one uses a motorbike, a bike. The other one uses a train. Another uses a tractor. At the end of the day, we all get to town. The only difference is the time and the mode of transport to get to that point. So motherhood has no script. Bring your child the best way you can for your child. That's all I would say.
I don't even have anything more to add. You have said it all. All right, Judy. Thank you so very much. This has been so awesome having this conversation with you. And may you have the best, you know. And also, I would really like anyone out there who would like to support Judy in whichever way that they can. All right, maybe supporting a deaf mom with diapers, clothes, baby clothes, whichever. I'll pin Judy's phone number and I'll also avail her email address.
Thank you
so much, Judy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me as well. Thank you.